The stone warrior stood in the middle of the forest path, arm raised mid-swing, face frozen in pure rage. Moss covered his shoulders, birds nested in the crook of his elbow. He'd been dead for at least 5 years, but his eyes still seemed to follow me. I'd seen 12 others just like him in the past 3 months. My name is Jean-Baptiste, and I hunt things that shouldn't exist. The wealthy pay me to track down legends, myths, creatures from old stories. Most times, I find nothing but superstition and lies. But this time was different. This time, the monsters were real. The collector who hired me, a pale, thin man who called himself Marius, offered me more gold than I'd see in 10 lifetimes. Enough to buy land, build a home, live like a lord. All I had to do was bring him one creature, Medusa, the woman with snakes for hair, the woman whose gaze turned men to stone. "She's real, Jean-Baptiste," Marius had said, sliding a pouch of gold across the table. "And I need her alive, for my collection, to preserve the dying magic of this world before it vanishes forever." I should have walked away. But then he said the one thing that gutted me. "With her blood, with her immortal essence, I can bring back the dead. Your sister, the one you lost to fever all those years ago, I can give her back to you. My sister, Marie, dead at 9 years old. I was 12 when I held her cold hand and promised I'd find a way to save her. 20 years later, I was still carrying that guilt like a stone in my chest. So, I took the job. 3 months of tracking, 3 months of following rumors through remote villages, of finding stone corpses in the wilderness, of piecing together the path of a monster. The trail led me here, to the edge of a dense forest where no outsiders were welcome. The locals called it the Forbidden Territory. They said a demon lived there, a serpent woman who killed anyone who entered. But as I stood there, staring at that stone warrior, something felt wrong. His weapon wasn't drawn to attack, it was raised to defend. And his face, frozen in rage, yes, but also fear? No, not fear. Desperation. Like he was protecting something behind him. I heard voices then. Laughter, children playing. I crept forward, silent as shadow, and what I saw made no sense. A village, small, peaceful, built in a clearing surrounded by protective stone walls. Families going about their daily work, children kicking a ball made of woven reeds, an old woman grinding grain. Normal, completely normal. Except for the guardians. Stone warriors stood at every entrance to the village, not attacking, protecting. Their weapons pointed outward, away from the homes, and the people walked past them without fear, like they were honored. Then I saw her. She sat beneath a massive tree at the village center, surrounded by children. Her back was to me, but I could see the movement, the serpents that made up her hair, writhing slowly, each one alive and aware. The children weren't screaming, they weren't running, they were laughing. One little girl was braiding flowers into the snakes. I gripped my crossbow tighter, confusion flooding my mind. This wasn't right. Monsters didn't sit peacefully with children. Killers didn't get flowers braided into their hair. Everything I'd been told, everything I'd tracked for months, it was all wrong. Then she spoke, without turning around. "You can put down the crossbow, Jean-Baptiste. I've known you were following me for 2 weeks now." Her voice was soft, almost kind, not the voice of a monster. "If I wanted you dead," she continued, "you'd already be stone." My heart hammered in my chest. How did she know my name? "The collector sent you, didn't he?" she asked. "Promised you something precious, something impossible. Let me guess. Resurrection? A lost loved one?" I couldn't breathe. She finally turned to face me, and I got my first real look at Medusa. She was beautiful and terrifying all at once. Human face, sad eyes, and a crown of living serpents that watched me with unsettling intelligence. But what shocked me most was the expression on her face. Pity. "You're not the first tracker he sent," she said quietly, "and if you don't leave now, you won't be the last." The children gathered closer to her, protective. The villagers stopped their work, hands moving to weapons I hadn't noticed before. I lowered my crossbow slowly. "What are you?" I whispered. She smiled, sad and ancient. "Not what he told you I was." The chief of the village was a weathered man named Cato. He stood between me and Medusa, a spear in his hand, eyes hard as flint. "You bring danger here, outsider," he said. "Speak your purpose or leave." I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to get out, to report back to Marius, to let him send an army to do what I couldn't. But something held me frozen. Maybe it was the way the children still clung to Medusa's robes, unafraid. Maybe it was the way she looked at me, not with hatred, but with understanding. "I was hired to capture her," I said honestly, "but I don't understand what's happening here." Cato's grip tightened on his spear. Several warriors moved closer, forming a protective circle. But Medusa raised one hand, and they all stopped. "Let him speak with me," she said, alone. "He's a hunter," Cato protested. "He'll kill you." She laughed, bitter and sad. "I've survived 3,000 years of hunters, old friend. One more won't end me." The warriors reluctantly backed away, taking the children with them. I was left standing 10 feet from the most dangerous creature I'd ever encountered, completely unarmed except for a knife at my belt. Medusa gestured to a stone bench beneath the tree. "Sit. I'll keep my eyes closed if it makes you more comfortable." I sat, every muscle tense. She settled across from me, and true to her word, her eyes remained shut. The snakes watched me instead, dozens of golden eyes tracking my every movement. 53 years ago, she began. I was being hunted through these lands by a group of mercenaries. They wanted my head as a trophy, my blood for potions, my body for their museum. I was wounded, desperate, starving. I collapsed near this village. She paused, a small smile crossing her face. Cato was a young warrior then. He found me first. I expected him to kill me, but he brought me water, asked if I was in pain. When I opened my eyes accidentally, nothing happened to him. He'd been smart enough to approach from behind, to never look directly at my face. "He saved you," I said quietly. "More than that, he convinced his people to shelter me. They gave me a home, asked nothing in return except that I help protect them from raiders and wild beasts. For the first time in my cursed existence, I wasn't hunted. I wasn't hated. I was accepted." One of the snakes nuzzled against her cheek affectionately. She stroked it like a pet. "The stone warriors you've seen," she continued, "they're not victims. They're honored elders and dying warriors who chose to become eternal guardians. I turn them to stone at their request, preserving them forever as protectors of this land. It's the only good I can do with this curse." My throat tightened. "Marius told me you were a killer, a monster terrorizing innocent people." "Marius tells everyone what they need to hear to get what he wants," she said, opening her eyes. But she looked away from me, toward the forest. "How did he hook you, Jean-Baptiste? What did he promise?" "My sister," I whispered. He said your blood could bring her back." Medusa's face crumpled with genuine sadness. "Oh, you poor fool. There is no resurrection. My blood grants nothing but poison and death. I've lived 3 millennia, and I've seen every charlatan, every false promise, every desperate lie. He's using your grief as a leash." Something cold settled in my stomach. What does he really want? She finally looked at me then. Really looked, meeting my eyes directly. I flinched, waiting to feel my body harden, my blood turn to stone. Nothing happened. "He wants to harvest us," Medusa said softly. "Every mythological creature he can find. He's not preserving magic. He's draining it, using it to extend his own life. The griffin he captured, dead within a month, drained dry. The phoenix, caged and broken. I'm next on his list." My hands shook. He's been lying from the start. They always do. She stood, her serpents writhing with agitation. "You need to leave, Jean-Baptiste. Leave and never tell him you found me. Because if you lead him here, he won't just take me. He'll slaughter this entire village to keep his secrets buried." I looked at the peaceful homes, the children now peeking around corners at us, the warriors standing ready to die, protecting their demon guardian. Then I heard it. Horses, dozens of them, coming fast through the forest. Medusa's face went pale. "No, it's too soon. How did he—" I felt sick. He followed me. I led him right to you. The mercenaries burst into the clearing like a plague, 20 armed men on horseback, crossbows loaded, swords drawn. And behind them, riding a black stallion, was Marius. But he looked different now. His pale skin seemed translucent, and his eyes glowed with an unnatural hunger. "Jean-Baptiste," he called out. "Excellent work leading me here, my boy." My stomach twisted with horror. I'd been followed, used. Every village I'd asked about Medusa, every trail I'd followed, I'd led him straight to her. The villagers erupted into chaos. Warriors grabbed weapons. Women pulled children inside homes. Cato stood at the front, spear raised, defiant despite being outnumbered. Medusa stepped forward, placing herself between the village and the mercenaries. Her snakes rose up, hissing, ready to strike. But I saw resignation in her stance. She'd done this before, sacrificed herself before. "Just take me," she said to Marius. "Leave these people alone." Marius laughed, and the sound made my skin crawl. "Leave them? They've been hiding my property. No, they've all earned death." He gestured to his men. "Kill everyone. Burn the village. Leave only her alive." The mercenaries advanced. I don't remember making the decision. My body moved before my mind caught up. I drew my knife and lunged at the nearest mercenary, dragging him from his horse. We hit the ground hard. I drove the blade into his throat. "What are you doing?" Marius's voice cracked like breaking ice. "The right thing," I snarled, grabbing the dead man's sword. For once in my life, battle erupted around me. Cato's warriors fought with desperate fury, but they were farmers and hunters, not trained soldiers. The mercenaries were cutting through them. I fought alongside the villagers, blade clashing against steel, blood spraying hot across my face. A sword sliced my shoulder, and I went down hard. Through the chaos, I saw Medusa. She was fighting but holding back, eyes squeezed shut, refusing to use her full power, refusing to kill. "Medusa," I screamed, "stop holding back. They'll slaughter everyone." She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "If I use my power, I become the monster they say I am." "You're not a monster," I shouted, blocking another strike. "You're their guardian, so protect them." Something broke inside her. The fear, the shame, the centuries of self-hatred. Her eyes opened wide. The first mercenary turned to stone mid-swing, frozen forever. Then another, and another. Medusa swept her gaze across the battlefield, and every mercenary threatening her people became a statue. Within seconds, 15 men stood frozen in stone. The last 5 dropped their weapons and fled into the forest. But Marius didn't run. He dismounted slowly, clapping his hands. "Magnificent," he whispered. "Even more powerful than the legends said." He pulled a glowing vial from his coat, pulsing with stolen light. Phoenix tears, griffin blood, magic harvested from dying creatures. He drank it all. His body began changing. Bones cracked and reformed. Skin hardened like armor. Fingers became claws. He turned himself into something twisted, a monster made from stolen power. "Now," he growled, voice layered with a dozen dead creatures. "Let's see if your curse can stop me." He lunged at Medusa with inhuman speed. She met his eyes directly, pouring everything into her gaze. Marius slowed as stone crept up his arms, but he didn't stop. The stolen magic fought back, keeping him moving despite the petrification spreading across his body. "You can't stop me," he snarled, inching closer. "I've consumed 20 immortal beings." His clawed hand reached for her throat. I didn't think. I just moved. I threw myself between them. His claws tore through my chest. Pain exploded through my body. I collapsed, blood spreading beneath me. Through fading vision, I saw Medusa's face twist with rage and grief. Then she screamed and unleashed something terrible and beautiful. Everything went dark. I woke to warmth and the smell of herbs. My chest was bandaged, and every breath sent sharp pain through my ribs. I was alive. Somehow, impossibly, alive. Medusa sat beside me, her snakes coiled peacefully around her shoulders. When she saw my eyes open, relief flooded her face. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. "You nearly died." "Did it work?" I asked, my voice rough. "Is he?" She helped me sit up, and through the doorway I could see him. Marius stood in the village center, half man, half stone. His lower body was completely petrified, rooted to the ground like a grotesque statue. But his upper body remained flesh, twisted and frozen mid-scream. His eyes moved, tracking everything around him, aware, conscious, trapped. "He'll stay like that forever," Medusa said quietly. "Unable to move, unable to die, unable to steal any more lives, a monument to his own greed." I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I just felt empty. "The other stone guardians," I said slowly, piecing it together. "The ones protecting the village. They were trackers too, weren't they? Sent by him." She nodded. 7 men over 50 years. Each one he sent to capture me. Each one learned the truth and chose to betray him. When they were dying, from age, from wounds, from sickness, they asked to become eternal protectors. I honored their choice. My throat tightened. "Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me?" She smiled sadly. "Or would you have thought I was manipulating you, just like he did?" Fair point. Medusa stood and walked to the window, staring out at the village. "I need to tell you something else, something about why I'm really here." I waited. "I didn't flee to this land by accident," she said. "I was sent here by Athena, the only god who ever showed me kindness. Beneath this village, buried deep in the earth, is something ancient and dangerous. The The tribe's ancestors discovered it centuries ago and built their village as guardians. I'm the second line of defense. If that seal ever breaks—" She didn't finish. She didn't need to. "And there's one more thing you need to know," she continued, her voice dropping. "About your sister. About Marie." My heart stopped. 20 years ago, Marius came to your village. He was experimenting with stolen magic, trying to create an elixir of immortality. The fever that killed Marie and 12 other children. It wasn't natural. It was his failed experiment contaminating the water supply. The world tilted. Everything inside me went cold, then burning hot. "He caused it," I whispered. "He killed her. And then he waited," Medusa said gently. "Waited for you to grow up skilled and desperate enough to find me. Your entire life has been his manipulation." I should have been furious, should have screamed, but all I felt was a strange, terrible clarity. My sister was gone, had been gone for 20 years. No magic would bring her back, but I could honor her memory by protecting others, by making sure Marius never hurt anyone again. "I'm staying," I said. Medusa turned, surprised. "What?" "I'm staying here, with the village, with you." I met her ancient, sad eyes. "Teach me to protect this place. Teach me to guard whatever's buried here. I have nowhere else to go, and for the first time, I actually want to do something that matters." For the first time since I'd met her, Medusa smiled. Really smiled. "Welcome home, Jean-Baptiste." Outside, children played around the stone guardians. Koto was teaching young warriors to fight. Families rebuilt what the battle had damaged. Life continued, protected and peaceful. And in the center of it all, Marius stood frozen, forced to watch the village thrive under the protection of the monster he'd tried to destroy. I'd come here to capture a legend. Instead, I'd found a family.